Let's talk about professional wrestling. Let's talk about who I am. Wrestling defines who I am as a human being. Wrestling defines who I am as a YouTube content creator. Let me tell you a story. Over 21 years ago, I became a YouTube content creator. I got on YouTube and I started talking about professional wrestling. 21 years ago, I started telling people that TNA wrestling was the greatest thing since sliced bread, and that the WWE absolutely sucked. And today, my opinion hasn't changed one single bit. I still think TNA wrestling is the best thing since sliced bread, and the WWE truly sucks, but a lot of other things have changed. Like All Elite Wrestling has burst onto the scenes. Many things like Ring of Honor is no longer a real standalone entity, although it's owned by All Elite Wrestling and Tony Khan as its own entity. It's not a standalone brand anymore. CZW doesn't really exist. So many things about professional wrestling has changed since I burst on the scene 21 years ago. 21 years ago, I burst on the scene and started talking about professional wrestling, but I was a very immature person. I was a teenager. I'm 38 years old now. At the time, I did really immature things that caused me my own YouTube account. I thought it'd be funny to moon the camera. It cost me my YouTube account. I did some things that wasn't my fault. Like I wore an LAX t-shirt. WWE claimed it to be their copyright, even though LAX is a TNA wrestling tag team. It's not a WWE trademark. At the time, the company royally hated each other. Today, WWE and TNA work together. Something I never thought would ever happen. It sometimes really gets to me. But it's something I've accepted. I understand the relationship will not always be. The relationship will fall apart. That's my belief. The TNA WWE relationship will come to an end. And that will probably be for the best for TNA wrestling. That's me talking about the state of professional wrestling, and I'll get to that in a second. I want to talk about my history here on YouTube. The things I did on YouTube in the very beginning were controversial. Controversy is not something that escapes me today. I'm still a controversial person. I enjoy controversial topics. I still believe things that are controversial in professional wrestling. I still believe that the death of Owen Hart is largely the fault of the World Wrestling Entertainment. I believe that they should be charged with killing Owen Hart, because I believe that they are the reason Owen Hart is dead today. Those things are not true. But my insensitive nature has changed. How insensitive I was to the fact that Eddie Guerrero chose to do drugs and it led to his death. I deeply, and I apologize for it. I'm sorry. I came at it in a way because I wanted to be controversial. I wanted to be hot topic. You have to understand, when YouTube first started 21 years ago, was the Wild Wild West. And saying controversial things was a way to get noticed. Saying things like Eddie Guerrero is a pill popper, not a hero, was a simple attempt to get noticed. And it did get me noticed. I quickly became the #1 wrestling personality on YouTube. I could show up at any TNA show and people would recognize me. And I was grateful for that. But my immaturity and my stupidity led to me getting suspended off YouTube. And I hate it. I really do. I wish I could get what I had 21 years ago. I don't know if I'll ever achieve that again, but I will. I strive to. I really, really want to. I don't ever want to disrespect people like Eddie Guerrero the way I did, because now I recognize that what I did was truly disrespectful. Not only to Eddie Guerrero, but to Eddie Guerrero's fans and to Eddie Guerrero's family. And I am deeply sorry for that. But it doesn't change the fact that I think that it's sad that wrestlers like Eddie Guerrero are seen as heroes who did do drugs that led to their death, while wrestlers like Owen Hart are true heroes who did nothing but fear for their lives and were forced against their will to propel from rafters, and it led to their death. That's what truly always alienated me. That's what truly always made me sad. That's what made me go the route I chose to go. Today I know that I need to take a different route and speak more into how I truly feel and why I chose to do those things. Eddie Guerrero was a phenomenal wrestler. There's no denying that. And I'm sure he was ultimately a great, great person. But the thing is, Owen Hart was a great, great person who was completely innocent. Didn't deserve to die. Didn't deserve to be forced to do something he was scared of doing, like propel from the rafters. It hurts my soul when I think about it. It's something I'll never forgive, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I will never forgive Vince McMahon for doing to Owen Hart. I will never forgive him, and I know that Owen's family, I know that people like Bret Hart, I know that people like Owen Hart's wife will never forgive the WWF/E for what they did to Owen. It's unreal, and it's something I will never forgive. They will never forgive. And ultimately, no one should forgive the W. They say forgive and forget, but you just can't. You can't. They kill a human being, and they deserve to be called out for it. Now, I understand that the people that are responsible for this are no longer in charge at the World Wrestling Entertainment, and that Vince McMahon has faced his own legalities for other things. And I will say this, and I'll say this to the bottom of my soul. Vince McMahon is a horrible, horrible human being. And the truth is starting to come out on some of that. But I knew that years ago. A long, long time ago. And the facts are just now starting to line up. The man was a sexual predator and deserves to be treated as such. That's what makes him a horrible human being. That's one of the main reasons I could never support the World Wrestling, no point intended, entertainment. That's what it truly was. And to me, the WWE was always, and always will be, the worst wrestling ever. I always stuck to acronyms like RAW and what it stood for to me. And no disrespect to anybody who's mentally retarded, but retarded ass wrestling. That's what I always said. I did it to be funny, but it's how I truly felt. And SmackDown makes ass crack cool, done on the worst network. I don't even know what network SmackDown's on anymore, but those are just funny things I used to say all the time. And if you don't find them funny, I get it, and I apologize. I'm sorry. But I think it's worth telling you, since I used the word retarded and I know that word alienates people, I think it's worth telling you, I'm a special needs student. In school, I grew up as a special needs student. I was in special needs classes all the way through school and didn't even know how to learn a single bit how to read until the 7th grade. That's something I hold here and there. And then it comes to hacking. Everyone knows about Bill and Doug. Or maybe you don't. But if you do, you do. Many of you might know that I was the victim of hacking myself. Someone hacked my channel. Stole my channel. 10,000 subscribers in an era where it's harder to get 10,000 subscribers than it was 21 years ago. Much harder. I had 10,000 subscribers on a channel called Earthsager Entertainment. New brand, a new plan, my flex to become what I used to be. And it was stolen from me again. Listen, I'm not bitching, I'm not complaining. Life goes on. Gotta man the F up and deal with things. I chose to deal with things my own way. Now, it's all about the dinosaur power. That's what this channel is called. The dinosaur power. So if you haven't, I take this opportunity to tell you, please like this video, subscribe to this channel, and ring that bell for notifications. I'm 21 years of experience here on YouTube talking about professional wrestling, talking about anything and everything. And I hope you enjoy your stay here at the Dinosaur Power. So why did I call it the Dinosaur Power? I think that gets you into a whole new chapter of Kent Controversy Jones. I call it the Dinosaur Power is because when I hit my 20s, I started hallucinating. I started seeing things that weren't there. You might find this funny, and maybe you don't. Maybe you think mental health is not something to laugh at. I think it is. Better laugh than cry, as I say. So I started seeing dinosaurs. My friend Don the Bomb always refers to me as Kent Jurassic Park Jones. And I find it fucking hilarious. That's why they call me Kent Jurassic Park Jones, because I've seen dinosaurs. I literally seen Dino. And it was always Dino. I'm not even kidding. Dino the dinosaur from the Flintstones. And I would see multiple Dinos. Not just any dinosaur, but always Dino the dinosaur. I don't know if this is some kid obsession I must have had with dinosaurs. Or maybe because I watched the Flintstones way too much as a kid. But I always seen Dino the dinosaur. And I used to say, Dino's got friends. Because I see multiple Dinos. That's why I call this channel the Dinosaur Power, because it's powered by the idea that I seen dinosaurs when I hit my 20s, and I went through this minty times. I've been to the psych ward multiple times because I would stay up for 8, 12, 13, 14, 15 days at a time with no sleep. I never did drugs, folks. Never was in me. It was all mental health. Mental health is very, very real. So if you are struggling with mental health, know that there is people that are there for you. And I'm one of them. I reach out my hand to you. I'm here to tell you I'm here for you. I know I'm not the greatest inspiration. I'm not your greatest role model. In fact, I'm probably one of your worst role models you could ever have. But I am here to tell you. I have had a YouTube channel that has had 10,000 subscribers. I've created multiple YouTube channels. I have been the #1 YouTuber back in the day in professional wrestling. And I try to be real to who I am. So, here's me being authentic. I suffer from mental health. I had disabilities growing up as a child. And I am as truthful and as authentic as they come. So, how do I feel about the state of professional wrestling? What do I think about professional wrestling? Well, I never thought I'd say this, but WWE is not the worst wrestling ever. It's clearly all elite wrestling. All elite wrestling blows. It's horrible. It's funded by Tony Khan and it has a lot of money behind it, but it makes no sense. Nothing they do makes sense. Guys, I'm going to tell you this story. And I say this a lot. I talk about this a lot to my friends. As much as I hate to give WWE credit, I gotta tell you something. When Shawn Michaels super kicked Ric Flair at WrestleMania, and he hit Sweet Chin Music, it meant something. You knew exactly. You knew that was the end of Ric Flair. At least in the WWE. We know Ric Flair would go on to go wrestle other places. But in that moment, that was the end of Ric Flair. His whole career was done. And that super kick meant everything. One finishing move. One single move meant so very, very, very much. It meant everything. And today, The Young Bucks throw super kicks, and it means jack shit to nothing. They do 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 a match. It means absolutely nothing. How can you take a move that meant just one move meant everything to 70 meaning nothing? This is what the Young Bucks and AEW have done to professional wrestling. They have made it mean absolutely nothing, zilch, absolutely nothing. This is what the Young Bucks have done to professional wrestling. And then you have so many guys that have no personality, such as the Young Bucks, who have no personality whatsoever. They just don't belong on mainstream television. I'll be honest with you. There's so many Ring of Honor wrestlers. I mean, Ring of Honor wrestlers kind of go with that same motto. But there's so many AEW wrestlers I just can't stand to even watch because they're so dry, so bland, and so unentertaining. And I know that's an opinion. And I get it. And I try to embrace the fact that maybe there's somebody out there that thinks Okada is worth watching. And I know I'm going to piss a lot of people off by saying Okada is fucking boring. That the Young Bucks are freaking boring. I know I'm going to make some people mad. But I'm going to ask you, when was the last time you were in Walmart and you heard somebody talking about Okada, or you heard somebody talking about the Young Bucks, or Kenny Omega, or any single Ring of Honor, I can't even get the brand right, any single AEW wrestler? When was the last time you were in Walmart, Food Line, Kroger? When was the last time you heard anybody talking about Ring of Honor wrestlers? Now, maybe they were talking about, I'm still saying Ring of Honor. When was the last time you heard anybody talking about All Elite Wrestling in a grocery store, in a Walmart? When? You might have heard them talking about AEW as a brand, because people do remember the brand of AEW. They know it comes on TNT. They know it comes on TBS. It's plastered everywhere. They had tons and tons of commercials. So maybe you've heard somebody talking about the brand. But when was the last time you heard somebody talking about a storyline that was unfolding on AEW television? Now, quite the contrary. I know for a fact, because I've been in a grocery store and heard people talking about Mike Santano's struggle and how he overcome drugs and how his story, his actual story, the storyline that's unfolding in TNA wrestling. I've heard people talk about it before. I had never, ever in my freaking life heard anyone talking about an AEW storyline. Never. Not one. Not one freaking time. The closest thing I've ever heard anyone talking about AEW storyline is the Bullet Club. And they got the Bullet Club license plate, the Bullet Club t-shirt. I have seen that. I've seen Bullet Club license plates. I've seen the Bullet Club t-shirts. That's because they sold them at Hot Topic. And that was not AEW. That's just some guys that were in AEW. But that was not AEW itself. And that's the closest I've ever heard anyone talking about AEW storylines. The AEW, All Elite Wrestling is everything but being elite. It is not elite. It is a, dare I say it, a pissant wrestling company, as Triple H put it. It's a pissant wrestling company. And it's all it will ever be. Tony Khan will run out of money trying to support this dying, unlogical thing. And you can throw money at something all day long. But if no one wants to watch it, it will never catch on. And no one wants to watch it because the storylines suck. The wrestlers are bland. And nothing about it makes any freaking sense. And super kicks, which meant so much to professional wrestling, mean absolutely nothing there. And that's my 2 cents on All Elite Wrestling. So I'll move on. I don't have to tell you that I think TNA wrestling is the greatest thing since sliced bread. I just pointed out why I think their storylines are better than AEW, and even better than the WWE. As for WWE, I won't get into too much bashing on the WWE because most of you know I'm not a WWE fan. I truly, but I definitely think the product's better than what it was 21 years ago when I first on the scenes on YouTube. I definitely think that Triple H is doing a better job than Vince McMahon. For one, I don't think he's a sex predator. I don't think he's a 666 human being. I think he has a mind for the business. But my problem with Triple H is not Triple H at all. The problem with WWE is that there's too many chefs in the kitchen. You got The Rock, you got Triple H, you got some Saudi Arabia guys, which I think is blood money. I think that they've sold out to the big corporation, which I always knew they would. I knew that day was coming. But they've done exactly what I knew was going to happen. But as far as they're a better company than what they used to be, but they're still run by blood money. They got too many chefs in the kitchen. Number one problem is they got too many chefs in the kitchen. They got Shawn Michaels, they got Triple H, they just too many. When it used to be just Vince McMahon, I won't say it was better because it wasn't better. They were run by a pedophile sex offender, which is not better, but at least they had one vision, and now they got a million different angles they're trying to come from. It just doesn't work. And WWE will, and I'll say this, hear it out, hear me out, ready for this one, the banger. The WWE and AEW will go out of business. It will happen. I don't know if it's going to happen in my lifetime, but it will happen. Those two companies will fold. I predict it'll happen sooner rather than later. Sooner. We're closer to it happening than ever before. And people say, well, WWE's making all this money. Yeah, but they're not. They're not. They're still in debt to their freaking eyes because of how much they paid for World Wrestling Entertainment, how much TKO paid for WWE. And they're going to want to recuperate their money. I actually see the WWE being sold off and split into multiple different companies to force the company not to go out of business. That they're going to sell it off, trying to recuperate their money, but try to still own the product. I see them selling off things like WCW. I don't even know if WCW has any value since all their wrestlers are pretty much dead or retired. Are not even in the ability to wrestle anymore. I know that's a lot to take in, and it is what it is. I am King Controversy Jones, and this is 22 minutes of me talking. So I hope some of you stuck around for it. I'm King Controversy Jones. I'm the one, the only, often imitated but never duplicated, the chosen one for YouTube Pro Wrestling. I'm Ken Jones. I'm signing off.